When I see someone anxious, I ask myself, what do they want? For if a person does not desire something beyond their control, why would they be affected by anxiety? Welcome to the Daily Stoic, a place that brings you inner peace, unlocking your hidden strength, and enhancing your self-worth every day. Have you ever found yourself pacing back and forth, heart pounding, as you await an important phone call or a test result? Have you ever spent sleepless nights tormented by thoughts of what could go wrong, fearing rejection, failure, or disaster, even when nothing has happened yet? Anxiety is an old, familiar companion to all of us. It sneaks into our minds when we fixate on an outcome, when we fear losing something, or when we construct endless what-if scenarios in our heads, most of which will never come to pass. It clouds our judgment, consumes our energy, and, worst of all, it traps us in an endless cycle of stress over things we cannot change. Yet, Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, challenges us to reconsider our worries. When I see someone anxious, I ask myself, what do they want? For if a person does not desire something beyond their control, why would they be affected by anxiety? Epictetus, Discourses, 2.13. 1. This statement reveals a profound but often overlooked truth. Anxiety is not caused by external events, it is caused by our attachment to them. Before we begin, make sure that this valuable wisdom spreads to more people through your insight. Each time you hit the subscribe button, like, or comment, you contribute even more value to our community. Now, let's embark on this journey together. We do not suffer because something is happening. We suffer because we want things to happen in a specific way, a way that is not within our control. Let's take a look at a few real-life situations. A father worries about his child. He wants his child to be safe, to grow up happy, to never face harm. But can he control every aspect of his child's life? No. A traveler feels anxious about their flight. They want clear skies, no delays, and a smooth journey. But can they control the weather, air traffic, or mechanical issues? No. An investor feels uneasy watching the stock market. They want prices to rise, profits to grow. But can they dictate global markets, economic shifts, or the choices of millions of traders? No. What do all these scenarios have in common? They are rooted in a desire for control over the uncontrollable. And this is the root of all anxiety. But what if we could break free from this trap? What if, instead of worrying about things outside our control, we could focus on what is within our power? What if, instead of hoping the world will change to fit our expectations, we learn to master our responses to whatever happens? That is the essence of Stoic wisdom. And that is where true freedom begins. Anxiety, a pointless trade-off. We often think of anxiety as a sign of responsibility, of care. But in reality, it changes nothing except wearing down our spirit. Imagine this. You're standing in line at the airport, constantly checking the clock, growing impatient as the line moves slowly. You glance at the sky, check the weather, and refresh your phone to see if your flight has been delayed. Your heart races, tension builds, and worry consumes you. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, does this anxiety help me in any way? The truth is, it does absolutely nothing. No matter how much you worry, the flight will either take off or be delayed. The stock market will rise or fall. A child will stumble and learn to stand up again. As Epictetus put it, we act like devotees of a strange cult, believing that if we sacrifice our inner peace, fate will grant us what we desire. But in reality, fate does not care about your anxiety. So why trade your mental peace for something you cannot control? How to control anxiety. Anxiety does not disappear on its own, but you can take control. If you have ever tried to stop feeling anxious simply by telling yourself to calm down, you know it doesn't work. Anxiety doesn't vanish just because we want it to. It feeds on our thoughts, our desires, and our fears. But here's the good news. While you may not be able to eliminate anxiety completely, you can control how it affects you. And the way to do that is by shifting your perspective. By learning to see life, and your place in it, through a different lens. The Stoics understood this well. They knew that suffering is not caused by external events, but by how we interpret them. They knew that anxiety is not a force beyond our control, but a habit of the mind, one that can be unlearned. So how do we break free from the grip of anxiety? How do we stop worrying about things that drain us, paralyze us, and steal our peace of mind? Let's explore some Stoic principles that will help you free yourself from the endless cycle of worry and regain control over your emotions. 1. Identify what is within and beyond your control. Free your mind from unnecessary burdens. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a vast river. The current is strong, the water is unpredictable. Sometimes it flows calmly, but other times, waves crash violently, pushing you in unexpected directions. Now, you have a choice. You can fight against the current, exhausting yourself trying to force the river to flow the way you want. Or, you can accept that the river is beyond your control and focus instead on how you swim, on how you navigate. How you conserve energy, how you adjust to the water's movement rather than resisting it. Life is that river. And anxiety arises when we forget this truth, when we desperately try to control what is, by nature, uncontrollable. We think that by worrying, we are somehow influencing the outcome, that if we obsess over something enough, we can change it. But in reality, anxiety changes nothing except our own peace of mind. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus put it simply: some things are within our control, and some things are not. If it is outside your control, do not let it trouble you. But how do we apply this in daily life? How do we know what is within our control and what is not? Try this simple exercise. Take a piece of paper and divide it into 2 columns. Column 1, write the things you can control. Column 2, write things you cannot control. Now, start listing. For example, I can control how I prepare for an exam, how I face difficulties, how I respond to criticism, my effort, my attitude, my discipline. I cannot control the exam results, others' opinions of me, unexpected events, the actions of other people, the past, the future. This exercise may seem simple, but it is profoundly powerful. Because when you truly internalize this distinction, you will start to see how much unnecessary weight you've been carrying. The moment anxiety creeps in, look at your list. If the problem is in column 1, take action. Do what is within your power. But if it's in column 2, remind yourself, this is beyond my control. It is not mine to carry. Because the more you resist what you cannot change, the more you suffer. And the more you focus on what you can control, the freer you become. 2. From I want to I accept, the art of letting go. Have you ever seen a child cry because they didn't get the toy they wanted? They scream, they stomp their feet, they throw tantrums, because in that moment, they cannot imagine life without that toy. But are we, as adults, really any different? We, too, have our own toys, they're just more complicated. I want my career to advance exactly as planned. I want someone to love me the way I expect. I want everything to go smoothly, without failure. The problem is, life doesn't operate according to our desires. Things will happen the way they happen, regardless of whether we worry or not. And if we tie our happiness to things outside our control, we will forever live in frustration and disappointment. Stoics do not passively accept fate, but they also do not let their emotions be dictated by unrealistic expectations. They practice the art of letting go, not by giving up on goals, but by refusing to let their inner peace be controlled by outcomes. Instead of thinking, everything must go exactly as I want, shift to, no matter the outcome, I will accept and adapt. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means continuing to strive, but without allowing your happiness to be tied to things beyond your control. Because a truly free person is not enslaved by desires they cannot fulfill. 3. Ask the right questions when anxiety arises. Seek answers instead of drowning in fear. When anxiety appears, do you let it control you? Or do you turn it into an opportunity for self-reflection? Every time you feel anxiety creeping in, don't just let it consume you. Instead, turn it into a mental exercise. Ask yourself, why do I feel this tension? What am I hoping for? Is it truly important? Am I in control, or is my anxiety controlling me? If anxiety is in control, what can I do to take back my power? What is the worst possible outcome? If things don't go my way, what can I learn from it? This is not just a theoretical exercise. It's a way to detach yourself from emotions, to step outside your own mind and observe your anxiety from a rational perspective. Because once you understand your anxiety, it loses its power over you. 4. Practice acceptance. Don't fight life. Flow with it. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "We suffer not because life is unfair, but because we expect it to be fair." The reality is, it will rain whether you want it to or not. Flights will be delayed whether you stress about them or not. Some people will never change, no matter how much you hope they will. Instead of resisting the inevitable, learn to adapt and find peace even in adversity. Be like a river. When it encounters rocks, it does not try to break them, it simply flows around them. When it reaches a steep drop, it does not resist, it cascades down and continues its journey. You should do the same. Don't fight against life. Don't let the uncontrollable dictate your emotions. Instead, harmonize with reality and master your own responses. Because true peace does not come from controlling the outside world, it comes from mastering the world within. Anxiety does not change the future, but it can destroy the present. Every time you feel anxious, ask yourself, is this within my control? Is my desire truly necessary? Can I change my perspective to embrace things with more tranquility? Because, as Epictetus taught, if you do not desire things outside your control, you will never have to worry. Free your mind from things you cannot change. Because when you let go of anxiety, that is when you truly become free. I'd love to hear about your journey. If you don't know what to say, just type "the power of control" to show you made it to the end. Your engagement fuels our community, helping us grow in wisdom, understanding, and, above all, the ability to turn every challenge into an opportunity. Hope to see you in next video. Thank you very much.